Journalist Connor Town O'Neill is taking a closer look into our nation's history, including the battles over monuments dedicated to Confederate generals. And it's through the lens of these conflicts that he's examining the legacy of white supremacy in America. His book is called Down Along with That Devil's Bones. He joins us live. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, good morning. It's good to be with you.
You did this. It just so happened that this is very timely. You've obviously been working on this for a while. I'm curious, a big person that you study a lot is Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a Confederate general, and he's got more monuments pretty much than anyone else in like Tennessee, right?
Yeah, there are more markers of Forrest than there are to the three presidents who are from Tennessee, which gives you a sense of who Tennesseans are trying to remember and keep in the present and keep in memory most.
And talk about why there's such objection to him in particular, his history.
Absolutely. So before the Civil War, Forrest worked as a slave trader in Memphis, which was sort of the inland capital of the slave trade. He used the fortune that he made off of that human trafficking to equip his own cavalry troop in the war. He's an accused war criminal because of the massacre at Fort Pillow, where his men gunned down surrendering black soldiers. And after the war, he served as the first Grand Wizard of the Klan. So, you know, it's sort of every turning point of his life, he's really, fighting to maintain white supremacy in the country.
So I think people get taking down Confederate generals, people who fought to preserve slavery and fought against the American Union government. Well, what do you do with people like Jefferson and Washington? That seems to be a little bit more of a complicated conversation.
Yeah, I think part of it is it's important to understand the Confederacy as a very American project. The Confederacy stood for 4 years, but there was an American slave society for 80 years before that. We have things like the 3/5 clause in our Constitution, and that comes down to us from men like Washington and Jefferson. I think people worry about a sort of slippery slope, like if Confederates, then what next? But, I welcome a referendum on the history of our founding fathers. I think we often have a very naive view of history. The men from our past need to be perfect. That's why we build statues to them.
Right.
But I think reckoning with their more complicated legacy is an important thing to do.
There is the argument, too, even made by some civil rights leaders that say we shouldn't tear down these monuments. We want kids to go there and look and someone to explain who this person was so they know and history is not repeated.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the fact that we need to know these men. I mean, I spent the last 5 years going deep down this rabbit hole about Forrest, and I learned a ton about American history that I didn't know, or I was naive about its consequences in the present. I think the distinction that I would make, though, is that monuments aren't history. Monuments, are about honoring someone, and these are not men we should be honoring. We should, if the project is to have a really robust historical conversation about these men and what they stood for, then we should put more money into public education, not into protecting or putting up monuments.
And, that's maybe this is starting to change, but there's sometimes not a lot written about these guys in the history books. I knew a guy in Tulsa who grew up, he knew nothing about the Tulsa riots. They never talked about it in school. Is that changing?
I think it is changing. You look at things like the New York Times' 1619 project that works to reframe American history and get us to pay more attention to the central role that slavery and the legacy of slavery plays in the building of this country and the present of this country. So things like that are really encouraging. And honestly, the summer's uprising against these monuments, I think, indicate that there is a growing referendum and a broadening of our sense of what American history is and what it means. So I think those are two important things to look at.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. The book is Down Along with That Devil's Bones. Connor, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Connor.
Good to be with you. Thank you.